What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a quick breakdown of all of the rewards inside of the VOW of Disciple raid. And that includes the loot table, so where we can get all of the basic drops, as well as a look at all of the potential bonuses for the legendary weapons now that they're visible in the database. And then a few additional rewards. So as always guys, I hope you find this video useful. If you do, be sure to get subscribed for more Destiny content. And now let's get into it. And initially, touching on the loot table side of things, players have been collecting information about where all the drops are coming from. And this loot table image here was shared by Lieutenant Dan on Reddit, and we may as well use one of these as it is the best visual representation. So before we talk about any of the specific drops, in terms of what can drop in the core encounters, Encounter 1 can drop the Submission SMG, the Deliverance Fusion Rifle, and the Cataclysmic Linear Fusion Rifle, but it's also able to drop the helmets, chest pieces, and legs from the armor set. Encounter 2 can drop Submission and Cataclysmic, as well as the Insidious Pulse Rifle and the Forbearance Grenade Launcher. Then the featured armor drops for the second encounter are the helmets, arms, and class items. During Encounter 3, it's possible to get the Submission SMG, Deliverance Fusion Rifle, and the Insidious Pulse Rifle, but it can also drop the helmets, chest pieces, leg armor, and class items. Then finally for Encounter 4, we have the Insidious Pulse Rifle, Forbearance Grenade Launcher, and Lubre's Ruin, the legendary glaive for the raid. And then the final counter, as far as I know, can drop any of the armor pieces. But also on Encounter 4, of course it's possible to get the Collective Obligation, the new exotic weapon for the raid. And as we can see, Lubre's Ruin right there can only drop from the final boss encounter. Definitely be aware though, that there are additional ways to earn red border weapons inside of VOW of Disciple, and there's a guaranteed method for that by unlocking a puzzle throughout the raid, and so I'll link a video down below. But now let's talk about weapon perk rolls. And initially we have the Deliverance, this is the new Precision Frame Stasis Fusion Rifle, and focusing on main traits, of course also craftable traits and some of them enhanced traits. Slot 1 can roll Demolitionist, Cornered, as well as Compulsive Reloader, which is a new bonus, and it grants increased reload speed when close to full magazine. But it can also potentially roll Heating Up, Perpetual Motion, and the weapon gains bonus stability, handling, and reload speed while the wielder is in motion. Then it can also get Steady Hands, where kills provide improved handling for all weapons for a short duration, and Sleight of Hand, where final blows with weapons or abilities while this weapon is stowed increase its handling, stability, and reload speed for a short time. But then trait slot 2 can get Surrounded, Tap the Trigger, or Harmony, as well as Adrenaline Junkie and Chill Clip, and Chill Clip is a new perk where direct hits with the top half of the magazine cause a detonation that slows nearby targets. But it can also get Bait and Switch, where dealing damage with all equipped weapons within a short time will give this weapon a damage boost. And Successful Warm-Up, where each final blow increases the charge or draw speed. On top of this, the raid weapons do have the Soul Drinker origin trait, and we gain health based on the number of hits before reloading a weapon. So that's the Deliverance Fusion Rifle, and then we have the Submission. This is a lightweight frame kinetic SMG. And from the barrels and magazines right there, we can get a lot of stuff that we'd want to see. But then for main traits, it can roll Overflow, as well as Turnabout, and using the weapon to break the shield of a combatant or guardian using their super will grant you an overshield. Then it can roll Subsistence, as well as Steady Hands, Sleight of Hand, Perpetual Motion, and Encore. The second trait slot though can roll Frenzy, Killing Wind, Thresh, or Bait and Switch, but then also has the option of Demolitionist, Swashbuckler, or Harmony. And so of course things like Subsistence, Frenzy are going to be pretty tasty, but there are other top tier options there. And here let's talk about Lubre's Ruin, a very cool looking glaive. It's an adaptive glaive right there, and it comes with solar damage. In terms of main traits, including the craftable stuff once again, it can get Turnabout or Tilting at Windmills, where blocking damage with your shield increases movement speed until you lower your shield. Then it also has the potential to roll Killing Wind, Steady Hands, Grave Robber, or Immovable Object, where projectile impacts grant increased energy for the weapon while you're stationary with your shield raised. Then it has the potential to roll Sleight of Hand in the first slot as well, with the second trait slot potentially seeing Unrelenting, Wellspring, or Unstoppable Force, and blocking damage with your shield increases projectile damage for a short time. Then it has the potential of Surrounded, Bait and Switch, Vorpal Weapon, or Swashbuckler. So a pretty good legendary glaive there, one of the best in the game. Then there is the Forbearance, a wave frame arc grenade launcher. And looking at the traits, we have Genesis, Unrelenting, or Stats for All, where hitting 3 separate targets increases weapon handling, stability, reload, and range for a moderate duration. Then it can get Sleight of Hand, Ambitious Assassin, Surplus, or Steady Hands. For the second trait slot, it can potentially roll Wellspring, Golden Tricorn, Turnabout, One for All, Bait and Switch, Rampage, or Chain Reaction. So it's got a few juicy potential options there. Then we move on to Insidious, an aggressive burst arc pulse rifle. Yet again, another very good weapon, and it can roll with Compulsive Reloader, Dragonfly, Stats for All, Sleight of Hand, Demolitionist, Rapid Hit, or Heating Up in the first trait slot, with Adaptive Munitions, where the weapon adapts its damage output and effectiveness against energy shields that don't match the weapon's damage type, as well as One for All, Bait and Switch, Turnabout, Vorpal Weapon, Adrenaline Junkie, and Rampage. So once again, some really good options there. Rampage on an aggressive burst is going to be pretty awesome. And a weapon I'm looking forward to picking up is the Cataclysmic. The new precision frame linear fusion rifle comes with solar damage. And for the traits, we're looking at potentially rolling Surplus, No Distractions, Compulsive Reloader, Sleight of Hand, Dragonfly, 4th times the charm, or successful warm-up in the first slot, with the second slot able to roll Adaptive Munitions, Turnabout, High Impact Reserves, as well as Box Breathing, Clown Cartridge, Bait and Switch, or Focused Fury, where dealing half of the magazine as precision damage grants this weapon bonus damage, and the shot count is reset whenever the weapon is reloaded or stowed. So Focused Fury on a linear fusion rifle could actually be a pretty interesting bonus. And so those are the core weapon drops for the raid. There are also adept versions of them. They seem to have the same potential trait bonuses, although they are slightly visually updated, and we'll see if they have any additional bonuses once we get them in game. Here though, let's talk about some exotic rewards, and initially, Collective Obligation is the raid weapon. This one is also a drop from the final boss, so it's an RNG drop. And I gotta say a big thanks to my friend Duddits for sharing some of the gameplay of the weapon right here. He also has a pretty awesome build for this weapon on his YouTube channel, which I'll link in the description below. Definitely worth checking out. And Collective Obligation comes with Void Leech, and it has Void Leech, where the weapon leeches void debuffs when damaging targets that are suppressed, weakened, or volatile, and once charged, you can swap firing mode, and in this mode, damage from the weapon applies the same void debuffs, so you can scoop up a bunch of debuffs from one target or a series of targets and pass them on to another. And it also has Umbral Sustenance, and the weapon's magazine is automatically reloaded when you gain Devour, a void overshield, or become invisible. And it is a very, very powerful weapon. But there are other exotic items inside of the raid, and initially we have Gouging Light. This is the raid's exotic sparrow, and this one is earned by completing the Vow of Disciple on Master difficulty, so that comes from one of the triumphs. And additionally we have the raid Ghost Shell. This is the Imperious Sun Shell, and this one comes from unlocking all of the lorebook pages for the raid, which can be done in either the preservation mission or the raid itself by interacting with the puzzle at the beginning of the raid, and I've got a video with how to unlock that one. Some other specific drops though do include the shaders, so there's one called Echoed Anger, and this is unlocked by looting hidden chests in the Vow of Disciple raid, and that's the Secrets of the Sunken Pyramid Triumph, so it is a targetable drop. There's also Divinity's Caress, and this comes from the Risen from the Deep Triumph, where you complete all encounters of Vow of Disciple without any member of your fire team dying, so it's a flawless shader. Then of course there is the base raid emblem, and other emblems right now are associated with 24 or 48 hour clears. But if we get any additional drops when it comes to master difficulties and things like that, I'll be sure to keep you posted. And otherwise guys, for this quick raid video, that's what we have to break down. So as always, I hope you have found it useful, and if you have, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. Also, if you're new around here, be sure to get subscribed so I can keep you posted with more D2 content. But otherwise for today, thank you as always for tuning in, and I'll catch you all very soon.